It's time. Stand up, I get up. Lose a focus, come on, be a I'm gonna stay focused. Opportunities, gotta get these, gotta fight
kuthiwa avulekile amasango wena uthi hayi ngithi uhalelani vuma ungene bafethu ngoba ke iSpani silana ke sinivulela amasango simkhombise indawo yomsebenzi isebenza kanjani awuthi ngisuke lapho uyazi kuthiwani ukuthi hlonipha abantu abadala kuze insuku zakho zande ezweni ngoba ke ngifuna ukuphila asimbulisa abantu abadala ngithi sanibonani and salute all my hustlers bafethu less iSpani bafethu ngolesibini mina ke ngumepelele shumu kaye 1 kabili ke ngubona kude bafethu ngiyazi lapha emakhaya ukuthi nilambile nifuna ukudla izamba likapondo ngithi namhlanje ke nisenhlanhleni nikhethe kahle njengoba ke zasibheka umkhakha omalana nokuthi nemali nokuwondla ke ngisho khona ke nokuhlela izinto njengoba sibheke umkhakha wayo ke i-quantity surveying sabona hasa lethu ubongane bafethu insizwa ke engene kulomkhakha ingazi ukuthi kahle imayilana nani kodwa yahamba ilobu ifunda kodwa manje seyazi ukuthi iyona ke into efuna ukuyenza sohlala ngaye simuza ukuthi ubani lakhe liqala kuphi nokuthi ubuphi ubunzima ahlangane nabo kuze afikelele la akhona njengoba ke azothola alaphana ke MMQS bafethu quantity surveyors inkampani ehlonishwa kakhulu bafethu ngithi wena bongane akushayeke ngebudget speed sivula indlebe
Leina la ka ke Bongani Baloyi ke na le dingwaga tse 25. I was born ko Soshanguve mara ke goletse Gabalatsane ke gopala neresna le motlakase ne re sebedisa battery for TV. The most hurtful thing or the most painful thing that I experienced throughout all of that was ke batla go shaba TV battery be fela. You know when you can see gore battery ya fela while you're watching. That's one of the most painful experiences I think as a young child. Mama na bereka taxi ranking, mama na rekisa di PCC.
And God knows what Bongani himself had to go around and sell the product himself to help out his mom.
But the PCC go pala kile ka tsana ko ntlong ya teacher actually. Ke ne ko ntlong ya la butwa ka re lo rekisa di PCC. The following day ke le sekolong he ke kana ka mo tlaseng ke a botsa the entire class or motho o rekisa di PCC and no le botlhoko you know knowing gore ko ga ra itse ra rena tšhelete ene di PCC ke yona ntho e etsang gore re kgone reka borotho le dijo. Ko primary ne ke batla ba mechanical engineer because ne ke kgona draw dikoloi, so the idea of having or being able to draw dikoloi was exciting to me. Abuta ka wila mpontsha ho draw dintlo. That's when I decided okay ke batla ba architect. The other thing was also because ne ke batla agela mama ntlo because ne re nna mpantshe. Grade 80, I remember we had just come back from a trip. On the trip, I saw a young white kid with one of those play laptops, the sound. And at that point, it's not computer, you know, and negrata di computer ka pelo moya. So I remember I was sitting mompeto ngorumu ke lebeletse roof. Kewala membo Momazenke, you know, and picturing membo as the keypad. Come, let me show you my first laptop. This is the first laptop I've ever owned. Go high school, go grade 8, neketsana go Hebron Tech and Commercial High School. In grade 9, my aunt got me a scholarship to Highlands North. I was really good at technical drawing. I wasn't aware of my foundation here, physics and maths, weren't at the level of the school that I was at. So ka matric, I had gotten 48% for physics and 49% for maths. I went to Star School and then I upgraded my maths and physics. I got good marks for both those subjects. So I got accepted go vet for quantity surveying, but the difficulty was I didn't know how I was going to pay for my fees. What I did was I went to one of my lecturers who taught me a technical drawing, and he directed me towards the SRC. They helped me fill in forms for NAFSIS for that year, and it was approved.
If I was to describe Bongani in 5 words, I'd say dedicated, hardworking, a very jubilant person, very happy all the time, a very loving person, and a very dependable person.
Mamon rutile hard work more than anything else, because day in, day out, Monday to Sunday, mama na sebetsa. During my first year, mama wile wa tlhokofala, which was very tough because mama nele yena, the strength, the pillar, the one person that I knew hore le boima mo sekolong ke kgona mo founela ke re mama ho boima ho etsahala so le so le so.
She had to deal a lot with frozen goods and selling them door to door, and unfortunately this led to the cause of her passing away, the constant handling of ice and cold temperatures, which is unfortunate that the way she was working so hard eventually led to her death, all in the hopes of trying to raise her kids, which is an amazing story.
I failed the subject, the 3, and that affected my progress, of course. And lenefsa se yandropa next day ko patala ka ing skolo, things were just tough now. I saw that I needed to get some income somehow, so kila ka batla mosebetsi ka thola mosebetsi wa bartendering. I feel at that point that's when I should have failed, and I should have literally left everything and lost all hope. But I decided ke pass. I started Googling and trying to find out about quantity surveying companies, and MMQS was one of those on my list. I've currently been doing my in-service training and vacation work with MMQS, but tomorrow I'm going in for an interview for an internship position.
Munna Bongani, I know tomorrow is a big day. Maratako man, you can do this thing. Mtepe Bongani.
The biggest thing about having a permanent job is the security, the financial security that will come with the job. So I'll be able to afford my own place and be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle for myself. Okay, so I just got to MMQS. I'm about to go in for the interview now. I've been here before, I've done my vacation work here before, so I'm familiar with the place, but I still have the nerves, so I hope the interview goes well. So here goes.
Bongani, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, sir?
Very good, thanks. My name is Harry.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Pleased to meet you. Thanks for coming in to see us today. I'll just start at the beginning. Tell me what you know about MMQS.
I know that MMQS was started in 2002. It's a cost consulting company. They basically deal with various ranges in projects, construction projects, and yeah, it's a very good company.
Okay, that's a good start, yeah. So I'll give you a bit of background from my side as well. MMQS has recently merged with a company called Mace. We've been working together on several projects, but more as a partnership rather than a formal company. So we've decided that we need to bring the cost consultancy teams together from Mace and MMQS. So from the 1st of May this year, the company is known as MMQS Mace. So the interview the position we're interviewing for today is pretty much for MMQS Mace. Okay. I just want to understand, you almost finishing your studies at university.
I'm currently doing my last semester at Wits University. I'm enrolled for a BSc in quantity surveying.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, yes, I will be graduating.
Okay, all right. So in your current role as a student, I understand normally you have a lot of assignments and there's normally a couple of challenges and sometimes teamwork and things like that. So in your role as a student, can you tell me what sort of challenges you faced, especially in this final year of yours, because that's normally when there's big assignments and important assignments and so on. What kind of challenges have you faced and how have you gone about trying to overcome those challenges?
So in most of the projects that I've been involved in, assignments at school, the challenges I would say that I faced are basically lack of teamwork at times, and I understand that when you're doing something with a group of people, you each have to put your equal input. So I've realized that in most cases, a lot of people weren't really doing their bit, and I've ended up having to do my extra bit to kind of cover their parts.
Yeah.
So that for me has been a challenge, but it also has taught me a lot about teamwork, is that it's not all about individuals, but also how you work together to come up with a good output that reflects well on everyone.
Okay. So in terms of that, I mean, that's a good point, because it comes up, unfortunately, into working life as well, where some members of a team or certain elements of a team doesn't really work together very well. What's, on a daily life, even if it's your personal life, what motivates you? What is it that what gets you excited? What makes you get up in the morning and think, I'm really looking forward to this day because of this or that or the other? What are those things that excite you? It doesn't even have to be work related. I just need to understand a little bit more about you, what you like and what you don't like.
I think I'm very motivated. There's quite a lot of things that I want to achieve. I'm one of those who want to drive a very fancy car. So I feel like I have to work really hard to achieve those goals. I also have family members that I would really like to support and make sure that they have a better lifestyle, than currently. So I think that for me is what motivates me and makes me work as hard as I think I do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, that's good. I think something that's sort of connected to that question, again, you're just starting out in your career, so there's obviously a lot that you have to achieve for the next few years, but it's almost like a cliched question, but in 3 to 5 years' time, what are the things you would like to achieve and where do you see yourself going?
I would like to register and become a professional quantity surveyor, and hopefully move on to getting my project management, my PR for project management and build on, and hopefully someday I will be able to own a company as well as your company, and in the future, So, but for now, I'm very grateful that I could get an opportunity to learn from people such as yourself, and.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that, because that's a good aspiration to have, because getting professional registration with this QS Council is a very good thing to focus on, because they have a very structured way in where they tell you, listen, you start from this is where you are now, 2 years from now this is where you want you to be, and all the steps you have to go to get through that. And all those steps really teaches you a lot about what you as a quantity surveyor are supposed to be doing. And it shows you all the best ways, the best practices to do things. And that means by the time that you are registered, if it takes 2 years or 3 years, but it's at least within that 5 year that we talks about, it means that you will be a very competent quantity surveyor. And by the sounds of it, it's definitely something you're aspiring to. So I'm glad to hear that. I think I understand who you are as a person. And what you've been up to the last few years, and who you as Bongani, who you are. So I think the next step, what we need to do is to start looking at a little bit more and more detail about technical. So we're gonna have 3 tasks that you will sit with George and just go through those tasks. He'll help you, he'll explain to you what to do. So we just want to see how you do with that. So we'll just spend a little bit of time on that. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Maikemisetso a hlolo ke ntlha ya pele ya go hlola. Bongani o ka tsela eo, o machoti, ke motho e leng gore o ihlophiseditse for sebaka sa mosebetsi. And hape ha etse fela, o nagana haholo, e leng di-ingredients tse ditle tsa katleho. Ha e ka ba o batla go kena sebakeng sena, di pedi ditsela. O ka etsa 4 years full-time degree kapa 5 years part-time degree. O ka etsa diploma ko University of Technology e tla go tswetsang gore o etse BTech ka morao ha selemo sa thuto. Ha se o qetile, o ka register as a professional quantity surveyor. And ha go felle mo, go na le 2 years corresponding course e tla go tswetsang gore o be quantity surveying assistant. Ha e ka ba o batla go ngata ka ho fumane ko website-eng ya rona.
Hustlers, nango umbuzo obaluleke kakhulu sibeka phambi kwenu khona lapha ku social media bafethu. Sifuna ukwazi abangakhi abenu ke basibabheka umkhakha othize ngokuthi awujwayelekanga futhi awuvamisanga ukuthi ube nabantu abaningi abawulandelayo. Ngaloko ngizama ukuthi wena uke wahlela ke ikusasa lakho noma ke icareer ufuna ukuyenza, ubheka umsebenzi othize noma ke umkhakha othize ukuthi abantu abaningi abawulandeli, kodwa ke uyadingeka kakhulu ke emnothweni wakulelizwe ukuthi wena ke ungadla ngawo. Ngicela nisheleni imicabango yenu khona lapha ku Twitter na ku Facebook njengamanje.
My name is George Mahonga. I'm coming from Limpopo, born there, small village called Kalkspruit, Hamaraba. I've been here at MMQS for the past 5 years now. I've been here since 2011. I joined them after I've been working with another company for about 7 years. So I came in as a senior quantity surveyor, now I'm a senior manager here. Bongani.
How's it?
Nice meeting you again. So as you know, we've got a few tasks lined up for today. And the first task is basically just to go through the area schedule based on the discussion of the drawings that we're going to do. So we're just going to go through these drawings and exactly what we need to do. So basically, this is the outline of the library. So what we need you to do on this is just to pretty much just to take the areas of each and every room in this layout, just to confirm to the architectural design to say that we're working within the same areas. Well, this will have a big influence if we get it wrong in terms of cost, so it's very important that we get it right. What Bongani will be doing today is he's going to be running through the drawings of the proposed building that we really want to put up, which entails putting together area schedules just to tie up with what the architects have put together. Basically, is to make sure that it conforms to what the architect and what the client wants as an end product.
Awuthi-ke ngikushaya ngesiphicaphica bafethu ngithi ngiphicaphica ngento yami uma-ke ungayihlelanga kahle bafethu imali yokuthenga ivesana iphele iy'khwama zivesana zivuze amawalati akhala ibhungezi kodwa into engakutshelayo ukuthi uyabona ubongani ugudi kabi-ke ekwenzeni lento ngithi ningangikhaleli kimi khalelani kuwe nithi hey bongani why usenza so njengoba-ke ngilishaya ngewejambu lethu yakule viki njengoba-ke senginikeza amahlu ambala bafethu athi nginikeze iletha eyodwa which is the letter E bafethu wena-ke muyazi impendulo yalaphana ku-Twitter naku-Facebook ufake eyakho impendulo kodwa manje samsebona ubongani njengoba ngene eshaqa emabhukwini akhona laphana e-MMQS bafethu njengoba bazozama ukushintsha imidwebo-ke ayenze ama-schedule phecelezi translating drawings into schedule bafethu ngithi wena bongani check i-coast bafethu ungazosikhosta.
So he has asked me to basically collect all the areas and measure the drawing accordingly and make sure that all the areas that are on the drawing correspond to what I have measured, to make sure that I didn't miss anything out in terms of what the architect has given.
Well, a quantity surveyor is basically a construction cost consultant. So what we do is that we look after the client's interest financially when it comes to building up a structure from inception to the completion of the project.
To actually take down the measurements from the drawings, I use the software on the computer. What it does is it basically makes it easier and faster for you to collect your measurements instead of having to use a scale ruler and a calculator and having to punch in your numbers. I learned the software when I was doing my VAC work here, but in university you do get a bit of an introduction to it, although you don't really go into much depth. So what I noticed from the different drawings is that the building that I was measuring was a library, but it was also part of a bigger layout. I was basically focusing on one component from what I was given.
Well, the key personalities or the attributes that a quantity surveyor should have. You should have a good communication skills. You should have good negotiation skills. You should be able to interact with people because that's what makes the business. That's what you get around to get more projects through relationships. And you need to know your numbers. The reason I'm saying you need to know your numbers is that we deal with numbers. We deal with somebody else's money. So you need to put yourself in a position that if I was that person, would I actually waste this money?
All right, so at the moment I'm trying to scale the drawing to make sure that once I start measuring, my quantities come out correct, to make sure that they're the same as the dimensions that are on the plan. Start off by measuring the study area. I think what's actually challenging in this field is not understanding what it is that you're doing. If you can't visualize what you're measuring, then you can't measure it, you know. So I think the main thing is for you to understand and see, understand and interpret what you're seeing in front of you, and it helps you measure properly, you know. So basically, the reason why I have a hard copy drawing, as I do on the computer screen, is so I could make sure that I keep a record of what I'm measuring. So as I measure all the different rooms or the different spaces from the drawing, I have to highlight them on the hard copy drawing. So it makes my job easier also, it makes it much faster. I make sure that I cover all the areas, because if there's an area that I haven't highlighted, then I haven't covered.
Quantity surveying on its own is extremely important. Without that, there's so many things that can go wrong financially. It's been there for years. So it's not a new career. It's just that it's not as exposed as the others.
I think I did really well. It wasn't difficult. I think I understood the drawing better than other drawings that I've done before. The fact that the drawing didn't have multiple levels to it also made it much easier to measure. So I think I did well.
Bongani seems to have understood what we spoke about on task 1 and the deliverables thereof. I think he did very well. We had a brief look at the actual areas that he took in comparison to what the architect's drawing says, and it seems to be tying up. So that is a good thing.
Mahaslas, tsela e matla ya go hlola lefatshe ke tsebo. Tsena kaofela ke tsebo e Bongani a ithotseng sekolong. Lebala ka mabaka a o jwetsang hore dintho ga di kgonahale. Wena dumela lebaka fela le go jwetsang hore go na le kgonahalo. Ha ile di-quantity surveyor ba tlameha go sebetsa ka ho nepahetseng. Ba lokela go bana le bohlale ba puo le go ngola. Ba lokela go bana le kgahlego ko ntho tse tse ka di-architecture, di-finance le dintho tsa meaho. Ba lokela go bana le tsebo ya dipalo le go kgona go hlalosa ka ho akaretseng. Ko tasking e latelang re bona yena Bongani a lekolwa ko nthong tsa ditšhelete ha etsa cost estimate ya o mongwe wa di-client tsa MMQ.
Okay, Bongani, we meet again. I think we looked at what you've done on task 1. I think we're pleased with that. And then now the continuation into task 2 is basically just to go through the previous data that you've done. So now we're not only going to look at this layout, we're just going to look at all the layouts involved, like your sections, your elevations, and some of the details that are given to complete this task. So what we're going to do, just going to compile a cost estimate that will, at the end of the day, have a bottom line figure as to how much, we're going to spend on this proposed development. On task 2, what Bongani will be doing is going to be utilizing the same data, and that data will be that we apply on the cost estimate. So the cost estimate that he's going to be doing is going to be breaking down the entire drawing into smaller components, and we'll put a rate to that, and we'll come up to the cost, which in the later will be able to be presented.
So what I've done is I've put all my measured areas and quantities on Excel, so I could use them for my estimate. What I have in front of me right now is an estimate template that the company uses to basically do up all your estimates. What I'm going to start off with is the cover sheet to make sure that I'm working with the correct project. And right now I'm measuring the library. So I'll start off by putting in that. I'm doing a cost estimate. The reason for that is to make sure that obviously I come up to an amount in terms of how much the entire building is going to cost. So what I've done is I've used the areas that I've calculated from task 1. My plan basically gives me the quantity for my entire site. So that's the one that I'm going to put here. Basically, the building that I'm looking at right now is broken up into all its different trades, basically from its earthworks, foundation, to bricks in foundation, to my slab, my superstructure walls, my windows, my roof, lastly, and all the plastering and painting. So I was working off an Excel spreadsheet. What it was a template. If I had to put my quantities and without a template, it would have taken me much longer. And also I wouldn't know the specific rates, for all the different types of trades, like for concrete and for brickwork and all of that. So what the company does is that when they create their template, they put in all those rates and their fees and all of those things that they work with. So that's the benefits of using a template. As I'm doing this, looking at the plan, all my walls are different. I've got different sized walls. So I've got half brick walls. I've got 1 brick walls for my external walls, and for my walls for internal walls. They all have different sizes from the foundation, so I have to make sure that I separate the two.
The involvement of us quantity surveyors on project start on the first phase. The first will be the brief through the architectural drawings, and then we will interpret what they have put together. We'll put up a cost, and when we go out on the market to test the market as to how much competitively the cost of the construction will be.
So in my foundation, there's quite a lot of things that I have to take into account. For example, my trenches, when they're dug, after digging, there's a chance of them falling over. So that's called risk of collapse. So I have to calculate that also.
In all honesty, that task is not quite an easy one. It requires you to apply your mind extensively. It requires you to see beyond the drawings. If something is missing, there's certain perhaps questions that you need to raise. You don't have to leave it hanging. So task 2 itself is really quite extensive and very important as well.
Once I'm done with my foundations, I'll then move on to my superstructure. What I also have to account for is the material that will be taken off-site. So after I've dug up my trenches and I've put the concrete and the brickwork in the ground, there's also material that's been replaced by the concrete and the brickwork, and that has to be accounted for.
Being actively involved in this business during my werk work up until now has taught me the ins and outs of construction. This has benefited me greatly when it comes to understanding how to do a cost estimate.
So when I go back to the software, I also have to make sure that I measure all my doors and all my windows from the other plans. What you also need to take account of is when you're measuring, you have to make sure that all your items of the same description are grouped together, so you don't mix everything up together. For example, I'm not going to mix all my doors together and then put them on my estimate, because the rate for the doors will be different. So I will start off with my D2 description. The next part of my estimate is my ceilings, but because I've already covered my ceilings through taking my areas for my ground floor, I can literally use the same quantity because it's the same. Your floor will be the same as your ceiling. The reason why you have to make sure that you don't just take what the plan says, because the plan does have dimensions on it, but the reason why I have to measure is to make sure that I personally make sure that I've accounted to the T as according to specification.
In this case, I mean, he has done fairly well. Just few adjustments that needs to be done, but overall I think he's on the right track. So basically task 3 is going to be a full presentation prior to presenting to the client. So it's sort of an in-house scrutinization of the costing, how he went about doing the costing, if he has covered everything, and we go through that process and we identify if there are any issues of concern, the risk attached to how he formulated the whole costing.
Ka nnete ha se thaba kapa mathata a re tobaneng le wena a nnang le wena re tlameha go a hlola re tlameha go ihlola rona tsela e re nahanang ka yona le tsela e re nang le tshabo ka teng seo ke se re tlameha go tobana le sona gore re se hlole gore re kgone go tswela pele. Di-quantity surveyor di sebedisana le batho ba fapaneng, di sebedisana le di-developer, di-architecture, di-engineer, di-accountant le di-contractors. Ho tjho gore quantity surveyor e tlameha go bana le utlwisiso le tsebo ka mesebetsi ya batho bao kaofela. Di-building tse ditle tse nna le wena re di bonang di amme batho bao kaofela. Ha ile Bongani di-options tsa hae di dingata, empa hona tje o tlameha go netefatsa gore o beile ditlhokwa tse client e di batlang go ya ka budget ya client.
So Bongani, we finalized task 3 now. I think you collected as much data as possible for this task. So what we're going to be doing now is just go through the overall work that has been done. I think what we've covered in basically on task number 1 that is converted to task number 2. It's going to be a full presentation of how you've taken up all your quantities, how you've built it up, how you got to the actual estimate. So that is actually what we're going to do. So just for me to brief you as what we require in terms of your presentation, we want you to give us in detail what you have done. So if you have measured the brickwork in a certain manner that you found it useful, you need to highlight that. Where you have applied your mind in terms of taking off some of these quantities, you need to explain that to us so that everybody needs to be in the same picture. In task 3 is just going to be a presentation of what Bongani has came up with when he was collecting data for covering task 1 and task 2. And then we will use that to present it to the client to see how much in total the project value comes up to.
We are bowling on a budget though. Njengoba ke sihamba naye uBongani insizwa ke eshaya umsebenzi wakhe kuthuleke akanasikoloto kodwa nilapha emakhaya bafethu niyangikolota iword jumble yini kuyala bafethu nifuna more clues ningazongenza iblessa kodwa awuthi nginiblesse with another clue bafethu which is the letter G. Ngithemba ukuthi nizokhona ukuhlanganisa le gama uma ke sibuya emva kwekhefu uBongani uzamhlanganisa ipresentation for iclient yakhe nami ke awuthi mhlawumbe ukuhlanganisa amasente bafethu ngiyobhadala ikoloto. Let's pay some bills. We'll be right back.
So what you see in front of you is a summary of the traits that are involved in the construction of the library. You have your building works over there, you have your external works. You also have some calculations that I've made for your contingencies and your profit and attendance. The next sheet that I will show you is basically a breakdown of how I have come up to this estimation. I've gone and calculated the relevant parts in the drawing. And as you can see over there, I have grouped them, and I've collected what I need to collect over there, and I've corresponded those calculations and measurements with the correct rates, which basically allowed me to come up to a price over there that you can see at the bottom.
The overall price I ended up with was 3,535,000. With the size of this development, I feel it is a fair reflection of the costs involved. Let's hope they do too. There's another sheet that basically explains thoroughly in detail the calculations that I have done. Basically from measuring my foundations to my site clearance and my roofs. I've basically accounted for the entire building. I've made sure that I measured from site, from the clearing of the site up until the building is completed. So as you can see on this sheet over here, basically outlined what the project is about. It's a construction of a library building. Basically, I've done an estimate based on the current rates that we are using at the moment. I've also allowed for calculations showing all the relevant fees that are involved in this estimate from the different professions, from all the engineers that are going to be involved in this project going forward. I've showed it to you over there. I've calculated and I've used the rates that are in the market at the moment.
I think it's very important for Bongani to try and remain calm and get the correct message across. Making eye contact and engaging with those you are presenting to is also key at this point.
And what you see in front of you is basically an estimation done by our company of how much in total this project will cost. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do actually have a question. Wanted to find out from you, in regards to the information, you keep saying information. Given that the information is not enough, how do you, because obviously designs, they constantly change, and from the initial stage, it's still an idea. How do you guys accurately ascertain the value
Of a project
if you don't have that information up front?
To answer your question, so we've went out and we've gotten quotations from suppliers, and that's allowed us to basically build up a rate that we're going to use and apply on our estimate. What also helps is that we keep in constant contact with the other team players, the other professions, and they keep us in check in terms of how the market is looking at the moment. And you will see, based on the calculations that I've made there, that it reflects the input that we've put in as a quantity surveyors.
Bongani, what's the basis of your exclusions?
So the exclusions were basically made because those were in the brief. The client has requested us to exclude those in our calculation for the estimate. That's why I have put them there. Are there any further questions? Thank you very much. So as you can see, this is basically what an estimate looks like. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.
Bongani, how did you find your day?
Quite good, quite educational. I learned quite a lot, actually.
That's good. Still want to be a QS?
Yes, I do.
That's
More
good
than
news.
anything.
No, I had a conversation with George, and he was quite happy with the way you completed the exercises. So, in addition to our conversation earlier today, and the feedback I had from George, I think we're very happy to be taking you on board. And if you're interested in the position, we're offering it to you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Of course I'm interested. Thank you. I'm looking forward to learning from you and the rest of the team.
That's great. We'll do whatever we can to teach you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a long day. As you can see, I got the chance to show you my profession and show you my life and tell you about myself. It was a very lovely day, very fun, long though. As you could see, as you saw in the presentation, I was a bit shaky, but you know, I got the job, I got everything that I actually ever wanted. So thank you very much for joining me, guys. And remember, like, it doesn't matter how much you fail or where you're from or how long it takes you to get to where you wanna get to. But if you just put in the hard work, you'll get there. So remember, press up, push up, hand. Away.
O sebeditse Bongani, re ithutile ka wena gore hlolo e teng, empa ha go hlolo ka ntle le go lwana. And ha se go lwana go re thupisang, ke go finyella go fihlela qetelong. Potso ya rona ya beke ena e tswa ko McQueen, a re ena hana matric, o na le kgatlhego go dinthong tsa landscaping. Ko maemong a jwalo, di short courses di tla o thusa. Mane ko Intech ba na le short course certificate sa landscaping. Se include garden maintenance to full scale maintenance ya di garden. And in ntho he, o tlameha go etsa between 6 to 12 months. O hloka at least grade 10 kapa experience go ikala. Ha se o ithomile, hopola gore di landscapers ha se batho fela ba kutang bojwang, ba designer, ba bopa, and hape ba maintaina di garden tse fapaneng ko ditulong tse fapaneng. Ha e ka ba gona le go sa o fumanang, hopola o checkela Facebook kapa website ya rona. Ke emetse ya hao potso.
Anginanto apha esandleni ngithi uBongani akanaso isizathu sokucula leyo ngoma bafethu ngoba la esandleni sakhe uphethe umsebenzi omusha. The job is in the bag, the money is in the bank bafethu. Sifisela inhlanhla kuyo yonke into abayenza. Nginesiqiniseko ukuthi imali yakhe noma ke umholo wakhe oqala ngeke nje azawudlipize. Umuntu owazi ama budget. Speaking of which, sawisikhathi ukuthi nginikeze impendulo khona lapha ku word jumble yethu bafethu. Igama ke kade silifuna bafethu yi budget. Uma ke uyitholile sithi kuwena uma ungayitholanga you out of budget, iphelile imali yakho, adlali nawe. Mina kumfana kaMntambo ngidonsa kanje intambo. Better luck next time. Ngiyayifanalaza lento. Uyazi nofuna ukuxhumana nathi, uxhumana nathi ku bafethu ku website yethu na ku social media and also on YouTube. Ukhumbule ukuthi ubheke ama repeats wethu go Thursday ngo 11 o'clock bafethu. Mina kumfana kaMntambo ngizohlala ngitshela ngithi press up, push up, panda. Don't look down, look up and stay up. The cost of living is way too high. Zonboy.